Good afternoon. So, if you've seen the videos that I posted, I've taken a sample, microscopic sample. For the first time, I've done it, like from burning crucible, like right, from like the liquid where it was burned very hardly with, because of the turpentine, but probably because of the enriched bivax. Because turpentine, usually it burns very quickly, and this burned for a long time until I just stopped it. So it probably because of all the and I've added like a wax from these containers, the metal containers. Anyway, so we'll take a look at the sample that was taken just from the while it was burning, and so it's interesting. Maybe I should have taken more samples, but it was kind of like disgusting to inhale this. I'm bleeding from the nose, and it's something that never happens to me. Like, it's very atypical, and I think it's kind of like a very elaborated bicycle attack, something probably very unique that required probably cooperation of many, I don't know, hybrids or Titan or whoever. Yes, they continue to do it throughout the day. I must get out and for this umbrella. By the way, I understand that many of my audience are very new to this channel and to my life story. I hope hopefully you at least you listened to the Zygote of Ur, to the chapters that were done until now, and also to the saga of the bicycle, because it's kind of like an elementary. But I understand that many things that can sound fantastic to you, but for me they're obvious, and also for Israel, for many people in Israel, the umbrella is I want to emphasize the story about the issue of the umbrella, the radiation it's not a metaphor, or kind of it's literally true, every word, just that. And I've discovered that actually relatively early in this journey, maybe 3 years ago already. Because I had I had also divinations, kind of prophecies, but also there was a lot of clear empirical evidence, and many times it comes together. Actually, I know that it sounds completely. As I've said, very shortly, in one of the previous videos, that for modern audience, certainly secular audience, but also religious audience, whatever religion, it might sound that that the whole divination issue is completely hostile, or in direct conflict to rational investigation of the scientific canon, or rational investigation. But this is, from my perspective, this is entirely untrue, and both are extremely rational, and I conduct the two together for a long time now, and the science stuff, and as I think that I'm doing it the best way I can, given the circumstances, and given the fact that I have no background in life sciences, but I think that I'm very I show remarkable skepticism, but also there's the same type of skepticism that I always have shown, and it's important to say it because I've spoken about it a lot in the past, but maybe you did. For the new audience, the whole issue of divinations might sound kind of something that they cannot relate to. But actually, it was the main subject of my blog years ago, and I wrote about it a lot. And just to say that, from my perspective, I build theories, based on both divinations, and they have their own way and logic behind it, and also rational investigation and psychological inquiry, and literary inspirations, and they are all combined together. So maybe a palatable way, an easy way to understand the issue of the divination is to think of it. It's not exactly like that. It's much more complicated, and that's why I wrote about it so much in the blog, because I understood that this is a major issue and it might be of interest to people. And also they said I am not the first person that wrote about this stuff. That I'm not the first person in history that tried to dispel the magical spell. To create art and science out of spiritualism, presumably. Not at all. There was actually a long tradition of people that actually did it, and some argue, and I completely agree that the first one, or the first important one, was Abraham. And I've spoken about Abraham, in a post that I really liked, in part of a series, a saga that I called the Warlock of Fire Top Mountain, but it's in Hebrew. So maybe I will, at some point in the future, will take the effort to repost it re-record it again in English, because I think I mentioned this series a couple of days ago, because I think it's a very important series that it's very old, at least 2 years ago, if not more. The Warlock of Fire Top Mountain, and yes, I think I should make the effort to record it again in English. It's in my Evernote account, so maybe I can. But no, but it's also there is a link to it in my LinkedIn account, and there is almost nothing in the LinkedIn profile, so it's easy for you to. If you just search but maybe all of my profiles are blocked by the Shabak, so I don't even know if it's open to the public or not. So, but if the LinkedIn profile is open to the public, you can find the link to to sharing, the public sharing of the notebook, of the Evernote notebook of the Warlock of Fire Top Mountain, and I greatly, I posted hundreds, if not thousands of recording, in the last 4 years. I do it almost every day, in the last 4 years, and not everything is important, and it's not that I recommend everything, but something I think that are of more importance, and one of it is this series, the Warlock of Fire Top Mountain. So yeah, this is kind of a tradition that presumably dates back to Abraham, and also some would say, and I agree with this interpretation, that several very concise verses in the Old Testament that relates to Moses also is kind of and could be interpreted as rationalization of the prophetic experience, presumably from the prophet that was extremely Moses, all will agree that he was extremely important prophet. But of course the Bible mostly do not deal with philosophical issues, and when it does, it's also in poetic way, like in the book of Job. So you cannot really expect to find treatise in the Bible regarding philosophical issues, but later people actually wrote about it. So I'm not the first one. It's not kind of a new magic or something like that. But as I was starting to say, a kind of a palatable way to understand it, which is true but far from accurate, but it's kind of a very easy way to understand, how can the two reconcile, divinations and rational thinking, is to think of it as, what they call in the philosophy of science, the method of discovery versus the method of justification. Presumably, Scientists, I mean, there is no such a thing as like, I mean, the scientific method. This is a myth. Like, I mean, there is no such a thing. It's bullshit. And there was never like a scientific revolution. This is also a mythology. But I don't want to get into it. Just, I mean, the kind of like, but this is important remark, I mean, for this, in this context. This kind of, it's a mythology that people invented in the 19th century. That presumably there was a scientific revolution. People have always, people have done science since forever. Not only in ancient Greece, but also in the Paleolithic eras, people have done science. There is no such a thing like, I mean, it's like, I mean, like concrete and like, I mean, kind of like a method to do science. Science as establishment in its current form, which is of course centered for many years around universities, but it wasn't always the case. And actually, in the last 20 years, and certainly in the last 5 years, more so, it's kind of like, I mean, it's shift like to like, I mean, kind of like, I mean, other models of like that, because I mean,